Good evening. Thank you so much for joining us at our CCWH Friday evening chapel service. I am Reverend Mary Huber, pastor of the chapel. CCWH stands for the Community Center of Holistic Healing. Founded in 1977 by a mystic and channel, Reverend Michelle Luson, and she was asked by Spirit to establish it here in the Washington, D.C. area to bring more light to the nation's capital so that we can be assured that the work of the higher spiritual creative forces will be able to bring into the United States the divine plan for humanity for the next millennium. CCWH is a nonprofit, metaphysical, non-denominational spiritual fellowship. Our mission is to aid personal and global spiritual transformation. We currently have online chapel services twice a month on Friday evenings, which can be viewed on our Facebook site. In addition, we have weekly Thursday evening prayers for peace by phone conference. We begin each gathering with a group recitation of the 3 affirmations known as the 3 healers. These were given to Reverend Luson by Spirit when the church was established. They are located on our website under a pull-down menu at the top right entitled Get Involved. So those who know the 3 healers might recite it with me at home. The faith affirmation. I believe in the spiritual existence of myself as a perfect image of the divine creator. In this reflection that is my physical embodiment, I have faith in the supreme guidance of my soul for my balance, my needs, and my opportunities. Outside of myself, there are also perfect images, and nothing can delude my thinking otherwise. Hope affirmation. Acknowledging my faith in the omnipresence of my divinity, I hope for realization, awareness, and acknowledgement of the existence of the great I Am within myself. Charity affirmation. In understanding faith, in knowing hope, I pledge my actions, my desires, and my thoughts to the performances of myself on the physical planes of the earth, to honor, to love, and to enlighten all that is a reflection of the divine outside myself, so that my perfection is imaged back to my Creator. So help me God. Here I would like to include a prayer to the angel of restoration and renewal. And this comes to me through Patricia Cota-Robles' material, which I obtained when I was at one of the day conferences she held locally. As this is recited to you, you might close your eyes and image this great angelic presence spreading a canopy of light over all of our country. Mighty angel of renewal and restoration, in grateful humility, I acknowledge your presence in the universe and the tremendous service you are rendering to planet Earth and her evolutions. I thank you for sustaining a canopy of light over Washington, D.C., and the governments of the United States at national, state, and local levels. I now offer you the cup of my consciousness and the good of my causal body to help you expand and sustain this canopy of light over the foci of government for all the countries of the world. I ask you to seal all governments on the planet within a constant outpouring of your 5th dimensional crystalline solar flame of renewal and restoration. until all life is purified, restored, renewed, and manifesting God's plan for divine government on this new earth. This is destined to be a government of the I Am presence of humanity, by the I Am presence of humanity, for the I Am presence of humanity. A government based on oneness, divine love, and reverence for all life. I consecrate and dedicate my heart flame to be the open door through which the purifying process of this sacred fire will constantly flow, to restore all life evolving on this sweet earth into God's infinite perfection. And so it is, beloved I Am. And now, it is my great pleasure to introduce our speaker for this evening. I know you will enjoy this topic.
Greetings, one and all. This is Saint Germain. I've come today to talk about inner peace and about our connection to God, and to talk about the flow of energy in our own lives as well as collectively in all of our lives on this planet Earth. So be not of fear, but of glad tidings and happy energies flowing into you. So I surround all of you with the purple violet fire of love's forgiveness out of the heart of the great central sun of the great, great silence that has the greatest activities of God's angels. And this purple violet fire is entering in every one of your consciousness, in your lives, in your minds, and your being. In this, I want you to feel that you have that God connection that's most important for your life's existence, for your existence of your soul and being. Every one of you has an appointed destiny that you help co-create with God for the future, and it'll be a positive one. So we need to take the positive path rather than the low path. We're taking the high path. I've also come today to say that every time you connect with God, you create a connection, an energy connection, where you're on the earth. So it's like you're a grounding rod for the lightning of God's consciousness to flow through you in a joyful and happy and exciting way. And in this, it makes you part of the bigger chain, like a massive cable with many strands. Every one of you light workers are a strand of connecting light, connecting you from the earth plane or from this particular planet to the God source, the God mind, the monad, the God being within us that's plugged into God himself. So in this context of just thinking about God unselfishly, unconditional love just for a moment, and we do this repeatedly throughout the day and the days to come, what will happen here in this context is, just like the banyan tree with many roots, is all of you light workers collectively are actually allowing a lot of light flowing from God into the earth through you and through your lives and everything you touch and exist and connect to. So to power your dreams, you need that energy, the God energy, to help bring you that which is for your highest good. It must always have a positive purpose. So interestingly enough. So as Saint Germain today, my mission here is also the salvation of this country of America, because United States, it's always been my wish that everybody have spiritual freedom here, as well as more of a spiritually based toward an utopian society, which can only happen when all peoples come together under one purpose. And that what purpose? It says, in God we trust on the money. So in the all-seeing eye of God, not the all-seeing eye of anything else of the lesser light. So this is where you need to make your decision, and also not to let the lesser light steal the symbols that God has placed there in order for you to connect to God, and not to anything else. So to give you confidence in all of this, in that warm feeling today, I do want you to focus on that eye of God as being so great that God sees everything and everyone timelessly, without judgment. Though God does have tolerance. So interestingly enough, where some references to playing in the sandbox, that we need to put down our toys and focus our attention upon the teacher. So there's a teacher within each one of us, a higher teacher, and that is sometimes a question or a quagmire of its own, is did we turn off or tune out the God teacher within us, teaching us a better way to do things, doing it unselfishly. Just like God loves us unselfishly, we have to love God back the same way. So that you get more when, rather than demanding, pleading, begging, petitioning, is when you put things into action. So your action speaks louder than words, and that means when you extend your hand in peace to others, there will be some that will shake your hand back, and that begins to spread as other people see this. As you begin to love God, it says, what are you doing? I'm loving God. And why do you do that? Because it's my being, my connection, my energy, my existence. The more people that come into this type of thinking and espouse it, also be not afraid of representing God in your life so that others may follow. There will be a separation of those who have connected to the lesser light, and this division has come now, for these truly are the end times of one era and the beginning of another. It's not the end of the world. It's not the end of your existence. And put aside the fears that other people would convince you, because he says it's all a big act. It's a dream. So we push their dream aside and take your own dream, that which gives you freedom. And the true freedom is when we connect with God, all other things have a lesser importance. And this is true of all things. The two things that don't change in all of creation is God and love. Everything else does change. As Saint Germain, I ask you to think about these things. And also, connecting with God gives you an inner peace. So today's talk is about connecting with peace within you. That's a quiet place within you. Expand it, and expand it, rather than being a small place that causes us to try to be introverted in the smallest, tiniest way. For to take away your power is to let others diminish you, and psychological or any other way. To expand your consciousness in your world and your universe is by thinking about things as being bigger and better. And what makes it bigger and better? How is that powered? It's just like blowing up a balloon. Where does that air come from? From God. It's a spiritual fresh air that brings us peace. So we need to do our breathing, or draw in your breath and hold it for a moment, and believe in your mind that you're breathing in God. And as you expel, the God stays within you. It's not, God doesn't come in and then leave you. When God comes into your heart, your mind, your soul, your spirit, God stays there forever. And it gets a brighter and brighter and brighter light, expanding bigger and bigger, till we're no longer in a small space anymore, a small place in our life, but a bigger consciousness. It's when you feel you don't have any options and know where to turn, that we suddenly realize the source from whence we all come. And in this case, your connection, your persistent is what the word I'm trying to use, in connecting with God. And in this way, you will expand that cord of connection, and it'll get bigger and bigger. It's just like putting fuel injection cleaner in your car. Then you get better performance. So the more God breaths that you draw in, and of divine love that helps you radiate out to others. For all things are attracted to the light, you see. And as you breathe in God's light and hold it in, and keep breathing more and more and more and more collectively, then others will be attracted to you, because you become the light. So this says in the Christian Bible, I am the truth, the light, and the way. It really refers to God himself. And in this, you all need to practice. So be not of fear, be not of worry anymore, contention with each other, but focus on not the song, dance, and show of the lesser light, but of the great angels. For when you breathe in that light, it allows the angels to come in and present themselves to you. It is not your imagination to see the angels in your mind's eye or feel their presences, or even, in this case, hear their sounds that they make. For when an angel brings in context, connects with you and brings in that light and love and sound, it's for one purpose, to know that you have connected. Just like when you snap two connectors together, electrical connectors, it makes a click many times. And then you'll have that click when you connect with God, that you are connected. And that secure connection, because it's snapped into place, it's not going to come loose. It's not going to fall away. God did not abandon you. The most important thing is you've got to pull back the curtains that you pull over the window to see God. Pull back those curtains in your mind, your feelings, your heart, and in your families. And also to give security to the children and to others who depend on you, is that secure feeling of confidence. And you get that from God manifesting in you. So you become the light, the leader in your home, your house. So it's what's most important is we don't let go of that, no matter what we see around us, is to ignore it and focus on this. He says, obviously, many of you have to continue in your mundane lives, but you can bring God into it. Just bringing in the happy, smiley face helps a lot. So when we give other people a smile, when we have God's light behind it, means more than smiling at others with no light. So if you feel empty inside and insecure and afraid, then put that aside, because that's what others, the lesser light, would like you to think or feel or be. It's a mirage of smoke and mirrors, and that's all the lesser light can ever use, is smoke and mirrors, where what God makes is permanent. What God does is infinite. God is the infinite, shapeless power of divine intelligence and light. God loves you unconditionally, as is I do, and the many other ascended masters. So all today I have brought Ascended Master Astri, who wanted to speak to you also about the spring waters of love in our soul and spirit. So here she is to come and present her ideas to you, so that you'll have some verification in your own personal lives that God exists there. Hello, I've come today to share with you how to find the spring waters, the refreshing spring waters of the love within. He says how we were created with love, as God took a piece of his soul and created all of us today, even myself. And in your existence there, giving you cognizance of your own existence, also God did that with love, so that you will find yourself and also find your ability to love back. So this is a wonderful gift. A spring water of life is love, to giving back to others, even if they don't appreciate it or don't seem to. There's some part there, they've become numb and complacent and inattentive. And in all of this is they're barely aware of their own existence. So, and to help them find that life is worth living, and there's happiness, and we are here after, and we move on, and we have control of this in our life. Sometimes some people have a few controls of anything else, but they do have control of their own feelings and their own inner self, which belongs and helps with all of us, is a collective consciousness. So the spring waters of divine love, you can tap into the refreshing waters that is in everyone and everything. Amazingly, you'll find water across many galaxies besides this earth, and the bubbling spring waters have full of life and love and vivacious happiness, and we need to drink of those waters. So how do we do that and find the divine love within us to be a spring to others as well as ourselves? It's very easy in that we quiet our thoughts. So imagine that here our thought was a great whirlpool, and we're kind of in the center of it, and all this whirling energy around us. And just by our own mind, we can imagine or feel or sense that the water is slowing and slowing and slowing till it's at quiescence or peace, that you're just standing in water that has found peace. As you find peace, it becomes a part of you and you a part of it. We merge our consciousness with the waters here, quieting our thoughts and our emotions. And in that wonderful interchange of water, where we actually absorb it, should you be in the ocean or the lake or the stream, that you will be absorbing the water. We're also absorbing life itself, the life-giving energies of water coming from God, the waters of God. So it sounds like two different things, one being literal, another one being theory, but they are one and the same. To manifest anything, we must think of it first, and then we have to feel it. So as we think and feel and project that into the next moments of existence, which is our future, then we begin to see trickles and traces of water, little dots covering you, just like the rain. And pretty soon it becomes a downpour. Next thing we know, we'll have water up to our waist. And in this context here, that's how love, God's love, can flow into your life as the spring waters of life itself. So you might say that's an interchangeable mathematical piece of data. There is water is love, and love is water. So in these waters here, we need to quench each other's thirst. For many of us are thirsty for love in our life and thirsty for being able to share love, to have love that's unrequited and stuffing it inside of ourselves when we can take that same love and spread it out where it can do the most good. So oftentimes we think things to be inanimate, and therefore putting love on a material object has no effect. And yet the minerals and the energies it's created of is of divine intelligence and of other life forms that in a collective way are appreciating, even though it's a material object, the love you send to it. And it eventually gets to that group soul. So when we embrace the surroundings of our earth here with the organic and the mineral as well as the animal, bringing this all together, which is us, then we find there is a harmony, there's life everlasting when we connect with God and to God's divine love. These spring waters are so soothing. We have to put water in many of the things we eat because we're composed of water, 98% water to be in fact, in our cells. So in this case, you're saying it's only oxygen and hydrogen, and they being gases, but amazingly, when you put them together, they in the third dimension, they become a solid. So, and amazing that water has so many different properties. There it can be steam and vapor, and yet it can be a liquid. When it's separated, it has other interesting electrical and magnetic properties too. It's hard to think of oxygen having a magnetic influence on anything because we always associate magnetism with iron and with the poles of the earth, for example. And yet we in ourselves have poles within us, magnetic poles. And one would see, how can that be? So it goes back to atomic level that our atoms have a polarity as well as poles, just like this planet, a south and a north pole. So in this case, there is always a rotation of these atoms and the particles there within, like a mini solar system within you. We have that life within us. Who says that the very atoms and its subatomic particles don't have a mind of their own, a cognizance of their own. So in your context here, there has to be some group consciousness, which is you, but you're not a collective of the precipitation of spirit into physical form. You and yourself, because God gave you a piece of his soul, have your own cognizance there. And he placed this upon the waters and the universe and creation. So you could say the waters of time, but time is an element that man uses to judge, for specific periods of progress, or things going up and things going down or changing form. Everything's changing except God and love. So in the spring waters of your own heart, you need to bring forth those spring waters. If a person finds that their heart is dry without feeling, then open it up and accept God's waters of divine love and light, unconditional love in your heart. And when you are sufficiently satisfied, it gives you an opportunity to be able to share with others. So you can't be selfish with waters and with love and only give it to one and not the other with favoritism. The best way to do is loving everyone unconditionally. For there, when we specifically only certain people deserve love and others do not, then we're denying a part of ourself, because we're really part of a greater creation. Their material physical form is part of a greater group consciousness, you might say a collective, a synergy, because there you'll have the plant helping the mineral within you and the mineral helping the plant, and the physical or animal part of our form is benefiting by it. So it takes all three to make a human being here. And God did that with love, with this marvelous embodiment that you have. We have in spiritual embodiments, as above, so below. So we become finer forms of ourself in higher consciousness there. And at some point there, where we connect to all omnipotence or all knowing, then we see the folly of our lower selves falling into certain patterns that are unproductive, and even going the other way, being a little destructive. So interesting, it's just like when you mold clay or throw clay, as some people say, on a turntable, making a pot or a dish or something, and molding a clay, we see many times that it begins to collapse because we haven't learned how to master the materials yet. And at some point, when we've done this enough times repetitively, then we can throw a perfect bowl or dish or cup perfectly, a vase. So he said that at some point there we begin to find satisfaction, and it makes us happy. So that love actually comes out our fingers and our eyes with those invisible beams going into the piece that you're creating, and it's magnetizing it. Because you enjoyed it, the next person will feel that enjoyment and satisfaction and love in it, and they'll want to buy it, because everyone is attracted to the light, which is love, the spring waters of our soul and spirit of creation itself. So you, in order to plant something in the earth for it to grow, you have to give it water. And in this case here, for people, you have to plant love. So what kind of plants? You end up with dead wood, so to speak. Not really in that perception, but people without feeling, because they were denied the love that helps them grow. There is hope for them, because as they began to be curious, is there such a thing, love, can I have feeling? At some point, they'll begin to have feeling as they become engaged in it. And it can only happen in a way that's nonviolent, where it is embracing and unconditional, without provisions that I will only love you if you do this or that. That's sort of a selfish love, and God doesn't love us that way, and neither do I love you that way. All of you deserve your hugs and embraces and kisses on the cheeks. So in a happy way, we need to share our smile and our love and our joy with others, the spring waters of our hearts and soul and spirit. So God does have a great, overwhelming reservoir, unemptying, because he can never empty, and therefore you can never be empty as long as you tap into God, and then you have purpose. So all of us have purposes. Sometimes they're the same as another person's purpose, and sometimes they're different. All of them have individuality within it, ever so slightly. So even that you clone people, the fingerprint will have some variance in it, and scientists haven't discovered these variances even in clones yet, but they will, and it's individuality. So the human soul is the most important part, the spirit and soul, and that is the mark of a living being of a greater purpose. So all of you have been placed on the earth for mastery of your own being, just like the master of the person that throws clay to turn it from a lump of material into a fine bowl or a vase or plate filled with love and satisfaction, because you perfected it. So sometimes we have to do the experiment over and over and over until, just like playing a violin or an instrument, we somehow learn the little workarounds with the embodiment we have to produce a perfect performance, a flawless performance. That's what God is waiting for with his infinite tolerance and patience, and also to certain degrees of patience there. So that's what we need to show. So what happens is that when all of us are united in love and light, and with the spring waters of love pouring forth from us, then the lesser light cannot influence us to degrade ourselves. We're headed toward mastery, not degressing away from mastery of ourself. We're not going to, at some advanced stage, destroy all of our bowls and the work that we've done. We move on to higher places. So it is that such all of you living on this third dimension will not live here forever. You will move on to higher dimensions. And now is the time for all this to happen, for just like as St. Germain says, and it talks about the Holy Christian Bible and other holy books and other religions, that these are the end times. This is not the end times dictated by the lesser light. It is a cycle, and it is normal for people to graduate. So it's normal for you to be graduating from here, and the only way you can do that by breathing in love and light and acting upon it. In other words, being loving light, no matter how many other people might reject it, there'll be one. So that's the strongest plant that we have to work with. So interestingly enough, just like as if you throw a bunch of seeds of all different kinds out on the desert, for example, one of them will grow, and it's the hardiest of them all, and the rest, they disintegrate into the soil and become the elements again. So it is those who fail these tests and those who refuse to connect to God and want to align themselves with the lesser light become part of the soil again. They just lower their existence down into the elements, so they no longer have a cognizance that you will enjoy in your mastery in the future. So in this, when you follow those kind of patterns that lead on a downward path, it's a spiral that becomes to accelerate and out of existence, where those who will follow the other pattern of building up and get stronger and stronger, just like the giant sequoias or the redwoods in California of your country, that have reached for the sky, and they put out their leaves and branches to absorb God's love. This kind of love coming from our sun, which is multiple frequencies of love, interestingly enough. So it's what you connect to, you become. So in what you eat, you also become. So we want to eat God's love and light, and we want to become God's love and light. And in that, we'll be taller than the redwoods or the giant sequoias, because we will reach out to higher than the stars, but higher dimensions of existence, leaving behind that which we cast off, which no longer serves us. It goes back to the elements. The physical form will go back to the elements, as all of you know, until you ascend, as I did, and you will in the future. So we'll say that, set that as our future goal. So going back to my original theme of the waters of love from your heart, waters everyone else as well as ourselves. Be thou the master gardener, that you only have the most beautiful of creations, and anything lesser than that shall return to the elements from whence it came, and it cannot exist where everything else feeds off of it. And at some point in that dimension, when it's realized its full potential, which that is you, then you have left this third dimensional world for a higher realm of the next mastery. So I bid you goodbye today, as this does Saint Germain speaking in his behalf, and the other ascended masters. We are that smiling angels. We're amongst you rather than looking down upon you from higher above. We don't look down upon anyone, but we are amongst you, and whether you realize it or not, we're radiating the everlasting divine love and light, unconditional love.
Taking deep breaths, we feel the solid earth beneath us, deep and strong. We feel our feet become tree roots, reaching down, down, down into the ground. These roots stretch deeper still into the earth, to the earth's warm core. Our upper bodies feel like the branches of a great tree, stretching upwards to the sun. We feel ourselves touch the light of the sun, and the white light of heaven touches us. We feel ourselves surrounded by the light, completely enveloped by the protective light of God. We are safe. Now grounded, connected, and protected, we begin our inner path working. First, we feel ourselves cradled by the earth, not just the ground beneath our feet. We know the earth is alive and powerfully supports all life, providing shelter, resources, stability, and so much more. The earth is our mother, our anchor. Feel how deeply and unconditionally supported you are by the earth. Now take some of your energy and send it, amplified with thoughts of love, gratitude, and grace, back into the heart of the earth. Send your loving, grateful energy into the very earth's core. As you watch, you see the energy spread out from the core and move through the ground. Many channels flow through the earth, and these channels are filled with love and light, with strength and grace. Now the energy of gratitude and grace begins coming to the surface of the earth. It fills the soil, the water, the plants and animals. This loving gratitude spreads through all the environs of the earth and passes to all the sentient beings. Finally, the loving gratitude seems to float upwards, permeating the air, the sky, the atmosphere, and truly filling it up. The earth, every part of it, is filled with love and light. Now our souls stretch upwards towards the heavens. We feel the light and love of the heavenly realms, of the angels and saints and God. We rest in that light. We feel how it resonates within us and through us. We feel how strongly a part of that very light dwells in us. And we let that sensation sink into us. We feel how the heavenly light, the presence of God, rains down on all beings of the earth and on the earth itself. We picture the earth with its different ecosystems. We picture the deserts, the valleys, the mountains, and the oceans. All the earth full of the light of God. We can feel the presence of God in the earth all around us. Now we see that spark, that light of God in every animal, in every plant. We see that spark glowing and growing, filling with healing, with peace and light. We see that spark grow. It grows brighter and stronger until it seems to entirely fill up and emanate from the creatures. We feel ourselves, our own bodies, and we feel inside of each of us that spark of heaven, of light. We feel that peace of God, of Christ consciousness. We feel it glow like a candle within us. It grows brighter, becoming a flame, until we feel every part of us is filled with light. The light fills not only our heads, but our minds as well. The light grows. It moves down our necks, into our shoulders and arms. The light moves strongly in our torso, all the way down our spine. The light pools in our hips and down both legs. We are bodies of light. We see the spark of light, the light of God in our loved ones, in family members and friends that we hold as beloved ones. We picture our loved ones, and we clearly see that light of heaven within them and all around them. The light of heaven grows brighter, grows stronger, until it is shining with a brilliant white, almost pearlescent light. This luminosity grows and grows until we plainly see our loved ones as beings of light. Now we picture a crowd of people, but they are strangers to us. We see them, their faces, their features, their forms. But as we continue to focus upon them, we can see the light that is inside of them. And we are very aware that it is the same light we have been sensing in heaven, on earth, in ourselves and our loved ones. This light permeates these people too, even though they are strangers to us. As we watch, it fills them up. The light fills all the people, all these strangers. The light is all around them. It is within them. It is pouring out of them. We become even more aware that the light of God is present in all. Now we picture a group of people, or perhaps even a single person, that we do not like, we do not care for. And we picture them, perhaps standing as a group, perhaps a particular person who we have strong negative feelings for. But we feel ourselves soften our gazes as we imagine them. We lose some focus as we gaze on them and find their edges blurring a bit. And as we do this, we are better able to see the subtle glow that emanates from them. The subtle glow that comes from their very soul and makes them a part of God and the light of God. As we become more aware of this light, we visualize the light of heaven streaming down upon this person or persons. The light encompasses them. It is so bright for a moment we cannot see. We know the light that is inside of them is growing ever stronger, growing ever more pure. The light is around and within them. growing more beautiful and more clear. With this light of heaven, you send a blessing, that the light of God may shine and grow in all, and be recognized. With this blessing in mind, we begin our journey back to our own bodies. We feel our spirits fully return. Taking deep breaths, we have returned to ourselves. Welcome home, and thank you.
Here, you can send healing to another. Bring into your mind someone who needs your help, be it a family member, a friend, or someone in the community who could use help now, be it mentally, emotionally, spiritually, or physically. Now that you have brought them into your mind, surround them with light in however you can envision them. Be a spotlight, be it the sun behind them, be it a cloud of light around them. And now we will do an affirmation that will send healing to them. Father, Mother, Creator, Universal Spirit, I acknowledge your capability to be the light and power for healing, and here you put your friend's name, who is in need. Your light is the creative force of life. Your love is the creative bonding of that force, and your action, the healing itself. I place now in your light and love myself as a physical instrument to bring health to this individual according to your higher design for them. I further acknowledge that through faith, healing comes from you. Through hope, it is manifested. And through charity, the negativity that created the condition is permanently removed. Let this affirmation of absentee healing be permanent without reversal, so that the benevolence of your power be so manifested. So be it. Amen.
For 44 years, CCWH has been an amazing place for spiritual learning, growth, and value. We will continue to provide value that will enrich your spiritual journey. Donations big and small makes what we do possible. Please help us help you and others by making a donation today. Click here to visit ccwh.com. Thank you.
And now let us pray. Almighty Creator, we give thanks for our bountiful life living in freedom. You have surrounded us with light and love from on high, and we are eternally grateful. We ask that you continue to guide and protect us as we go forth to accomplish our spiritual mission, which was given to us for this lifetime. We give thanks for our health and prosperity, and for the loving relationships we enjoy. Bless those around us and around the world who are in need of upliftment, encouragement, and guidance, so they can see their spiritual path clearly, and that they can willingly join the light workers in their peacemaking efforts. We ask that all peacemakers are given your highest protection and guidance to create a new loving world under divine law in accordance with your will. We ask that the Holy Spirit descend now into the willing hearts and minds of people everywhere May they be confirmed in the gifts of patience, fortitude, knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, and endowed with generosity of spirit, which guides the loving heart. Raise up all of us in our day-to-day tasks, ensuring that our measure of light is sent out into the world in joy and praise. Bring hope to those who are faltering and afraid. Look after the children of the world, so they might see the divine plan in action in their own lives. Bless those who are the comforters, healers, and teachers to others. Protect our nation and guide us to see clearly the path to take, which will lead to the renewal and restoration of the original intent designed for the Constitution of the United States. Open the minds and hearts now of the people in the United States to see the highest purpose and design for this country, and have them able to acknowledge the great blessing bestowed upon them from Spirit that they are privileged to be here to follow that plan. Let the collective positive energy gather momentum and lift us into a new and finer world. Let the collective positive energy of each family surround those who are suffering and struggling and lift them into the fold of the Christ consciousness. Amen. Well, now at this time in our service, we would be conducting our collection, and we want you to know that we have been grateful for your past support, and we are hoping that you will continue to be generously supportive. This allows the church to continue to go on and meet our necessary expenses. Please be as supportive as you can. There is a section on the website where you can go to donate. And while you're on the website, you can see there is a place for you to submit a prayer request for yourself or for a loved one, which will be on our permanent prayer list and will be in front of those healers and those who have promised to pray for that prayer list constantly. The schedule, by the way, is also for the upcoming service on the website in the calendar section. But here right now, I want to let you know that I am reaching out to spiritual healers to consider being part of our healing team here at CCWH. Our focus in this team is on the universal heart frequency of love and service. The concern and compassion of the Christ consciousness is always exemplified in the work of helping one another. And remembering love is patient, love is kind. It bears all things, believes all things, hopes all things, and endures all things. So in the final analysis of life, we have faith, hope, and love are all that remain. But the greatest of these is love. So let's use that expression of love to bring aid and comfort to those who need it. If you want to join this healing team, send an email request to pastor@ccwh.com. Thank you so very much for your attendance. Please remember us in your prayers, because we do remember you in ours. So now we would end this with our closing circle, so you might creatively imagine us joining hands as we sing together, "Let There Be Peace on Earth."